Welcome back, or just welcome. I'm Lizzie Frizzle, and this is the Recap Corner. Today, we're talking about Stars on Mars, Season 1, Episode 8. It's called Solar Flare. I really enjoyed this episode's strong storytelling. It was just unfortunate that the story being strongly told was also pretty sad, at least for me. Celebronauts I'm not exactly rooting for, like Kat and Lance were in Power. The Biodome was finally reintroduced right after Rhonda left, and one of my very favorite cast members was extracted after a series of misreads and mistakes collided with Kat's ability to take things even more personally than Michael Jordan. The morning after Rhonda's extraction, Kat is still annoyed with Andy for nominating her for potential extraction. She tells him that it was unfair to nominate her and Paul for extraction after last episode's mission because they had the hardest task to accomplish. But in her interviews, she says she expected Andy's loyalty because she thought the newcomers were in an alliance. So which is it? Also, last episode, when Kat's pre-existing relationship with Andy first came up, it was presented like they had a real-world friendship. But now, in this episode, Kat reveals that she and Andy actually only met a couple times before Stars on Mars, which could mean she was just, on Conan twice, which probably about half this cast has been. So, once again, I'm forced to ask, which is it?
I just want you to know, if I had had your day and I came back,
yes,
I would be pissed. But based on the rules, I would have done the same thing again.
I'm just looking at this from a strategic competition level. Because I'm a competitor. Who should be in the bottom three between these two groups? It definitely should not have been Paul and I.
Their conversation starts tensely and also ends tensely, but at least they ingenuinely hug it out. Later, still clearly upset by Andy's insurmountable betrayal, Kat finds a new friend in Lance. They work out next to each other, and she says she enjoys their easy banter. Lance thinks highly of Kat, too.
I think Kat's a badass woman.
Hey there. What's up?
What up? She calls it the way it is. She's not afraid to speak her mind. She reminds me a lot of my mother.
What struck me about this interview is that a lot of the ways Lance describes Kat, I think, could also apply to Ariel. So is the thing Lance likes most about Kat actually that her opinions better align with his? Or is it that even though she's only 5 years older than him, she reminds him of his mom? Elsewhere in the Hab, Portia wakes up with the positive energy and self-confidence needed to nominate herself for base commander. At this point, she and Lance are the only two original cast members to not hold the position. She wears a special winner's shirt and does her makeup, but when the meeting starts, Lance immediately nominates Kat, which Ariel seconds because she thinks Kat will pick her to be mission specialist. She also seems to have some weird thing against Portia, maybe.
I am not surprised that Portia has a desire to be base commander. We've all waited our time. I waited a long time.
Ariel acting in this interview like people weren't falling all over themselves asking her to be base commander for the first 5 election cycles is a bigger retcon than anything Modern Family ever did. Despite Kat's nomination, Portia nominates herself as planned and thinks she has the votes as long as she gets Marshawn's. But when the time comes, he leaves the room, then eventually returns but votes for Lance.
Marshawn, you got any thoughts?
Yeah.
All right, just wanted to know.
Yeah.
Thank you for voting. Have you voted?
Mm-mm.
Please do. I need to see your ID, though.
Oh, you got it.
Come here and sign the paper.
Marshawn!
I need that one. We can wait a minute, because I need that vote.
We need your vote.
My vote is Lance.
You vote Lance?
Write it down.
Write it
Lance down then.
It really reminded me of a few episodes ago when Ariel expected Marshawn to support her as base commander, and he didn't do that either. With both Kat and Portia legitimately in the running, we finally get to hear a vote tally. And there's even enough information provided that you can piece together who voted for who. There's 1 vote for Paul, cast by Paul. 1 vote for Lance, we already know that's Marshawn's. 2 votes for Portia from her not alliance mates, but alliance mates, Adam and Tinashe. And finally, Kat gets 3 votes. 1 from Ariel, 1 from Lance, and 1 from Andy, who hopes to simultaneously smooth over their relationship and teach Kat a little bit of a lesson about the difficulty of being base commander. So, Kat becomes the new base commander, and Portia, in her loss, becomes Eeyore.
I actually said I wanted to prove myself, and y'all don't give a damn about that. This is serious. I don't care about any of you.
Your voters? You seem pretty concerned about your voters in there.
Yeah, of course. You don't care. You only listen when you're campaigning. You care about your voters. When you're not, you don't.
Right.
That's how it works. Politics. Well, let me go take off my winter shirt.
Portia.
Oh, poor sad girl.
This is what Hillary Clinton did when she lost the election. She said, those voters, and she went right back to Chappaqua.
You remember Winnie the Pooh?
Yes.
I'm the little donkey.
Eeyore.
Just not having a good day.
I was rooting for Portia to become base commander, but the playfulness with which she took the loss was truly a joy to watch. Throughout the season, it's been clear that she's a friendly person and one of the only people able to transcend the Hab's many cliques. We saw her goof around with Rhonda before her extraction, but I think this episode is the best showcase of Portia's personality thus far. As she processes the election loss, she's able to perfectly explain, first, why Andy voting for Kat was such a big mistake.
He tried to be nice and vote her as base commander, trying to get on her good side.
Right.
But it's not going to work because she's not going to forget yesterday.
Ever.
You make somebody that competitive cry, it's over.
And second, Portia perfectly describes what I imagine the experience of being in a house reality competition is like.
I mean, it's not the end of the world, but when you are in this house, whatever you focus your energy on, it really means a lot in the moment.
Later, Portia asks Marshawn why he didn't vote for her, but he'll only reveal his honest answer in an interview. Maybe because he knows how ridiculous it sounds.
Why you choose Lance today? I want to win. If you want me to go, if you're trying to get rid of me, just tell me, because I want to know what's going on.
I don't know about strategy, but if a woman's second toe is longer than her first toe, she got an attitude problem. And Portia,
I'm letting you know I see what you're doing.
second toe longer than they first.
You're in it. You're just acting like you're not because you think you're cool.
Later, in a totally unrelated scene, I couldn't fit into this video anywhere else, Paul tells Lance about the accidental Instagram live that got him fired from ESPN.
I was at my boy's birthday party. We was playing poker. And it was girls just there dancing and alcohol, a lot of alcohol. I mean, it wasn't nothing illegal. It was just girls.
Who put it on social media?
I accidentally did, my dumb ass.
Bitch, how old are you?
Oh, hold on. Tinashe.
What's that?
Did you see my video?
Yeah.
Was it bad?
You did?
No.
How'd you see it?
Because
I mean,
it was
it went
like
viral.
trending on, it was like viral. It was a viral moment. He just went on live with like some strippers and was just like
No, you didn't say strippers.
I think I said girls
No, you
shaking
said
their
girls.
ass.
girls shaking their ass.
Those girls.
What do
Strippers.
you think girls shaking their ass is? Yeah, I lost my job at ESPN over it. You know, and y'all make some mistakes. Maybe I wouldn't be on Mars if that didn't happen. See? Things happen for a reason.
Kat's first act as base commander is to name Lance her mission specialist, but Ariel reminds her that she's supposed to wait until later after learning what the mission is. I'm not rooting against Ariel, but it's always funny to me when someone thinks they have a slick strategy, then it immediately fails the moment it's time to implement. After Lance learns that it's between either him or Ariel for the position, he explains to Kat that some celebronauts try to avoid going outside, Ariel, and that they, Ariel, need to do their share too. I firmly believe that if it was between Lance and any other celebranaut except Ariel, Lance would want Kat to pick the other person so he could go outside. While Kat marinates, she's got to assign the episode's base duties. First, 2 celebronauts need to go outside and sort trash, salvaging anything reusable for future generations of celebronauts. Lance volunteers to go outside, and Kat sends Andy with him.
So, Lance, why don't you go with Andy?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Andy? Aye, Kat. Everybody else will stay inside, and we will nurture the plants.
It's gonna be Lance. And who else is gonna go outside and pick up garbage? Oh, me. The guy that put her in the bottom 3. I do think that Kat had it out for me a little bit.
Outside, Andy and Lance talk about being old.
Here's more. Oh, wow. Gross.
Wait, that's gold. Somebody threw out their gold
Hold
leaf.
on. I think we just don't tell them.
We're rich.
It's edible gold bling. Gotta be Porsche's.
Or put it on our teeth and compete with Marshawn.
I would have hated to be base commander yesterday. What are you gonna do, you know?
And, the whole notion of alliances and all that, it's just like, I'm too old for that.
You can say that again. I was just glad you came so I wasn't the oldest person here anymore.
I know, you've said that many times.
I know, I just thought I'd say it again.
I was also struck by Lance in this moment. I just think it's interesting that he only makes the joke about not being the oldest cast member anymore to Andy, even though Andy and Kat are the same age, 56. This scene also features Lance, for just the first time this episode, randomly bringing up Ariel so he can make a joke at her expense.
Oh, wow. Are those diapers? Those might be Ariel's diapers.
Meanwhile, back inside the hab, Kat and the rest of the group nurture the plants in the biodome. I know I said this earlier, but I have to reiterate how frustrating it was that we didn't get to see Rhonda reunited with the biodome. Hell, I would have taken seeing Richard Sherman reunited with it. Just someone who cared about the plants before they all burnt up. The base duties are to trim and water the crops, then sing to them. So Kat leads the group in a sing-along of the national anthem. Eventually, Tinashe mercifully takes over, but it was still one of the strangest moments in the episode, and it made Kat seem like the least creative, least fun, most boring person who also doesn't like music.
For plants to grow, they need water, sound vibration, things like that. So we gotta sing to them. We gotta sing to them.
Okay, what song you want to sing?
Oh, say, can you sing?
Okay. Everybody hush your nasty voices.
Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
Okay.
O'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, you're
What a beautiful way to colonize a planet.
Just to give Kat the benefit of the doubt, this one time, I do think it's possible that the producers handed her a list of copyright-free music to choose from. But even then, who picks the Star-Spangled Banner? With the base duties done, the cast kicks back until the lights start flickering, then shut off entirely as the emergency alarm begins to sound. I interpret the power outage as a power outage, but once again, Shaddy Daddy is able to circumvent the situation for the sake of sending instructions to the cast. He explains that a series of solar flares have interfered with the hab's electronics. If the cast doesn't repair the damage, then more flares will come and cause such high levels of radiation, the cast will die. Or if they're successful, they'll earn a trust patch. Outside in the solar field, there are 5 solar panels connected to the transformer, a device that converts solar energy into electricity. But those 5 cables were all damaged in the solar flares. The cast needs to discard the old cables, then run 5 new cables to reconnect their solar panels to their transformer and restore HAB power. To help direct the operation, Kat does end up choosing Lance to be her mission specialist because he's never done it before, and he repays her by kind of shushing her throughout the mission.
There's nothing in front of you. Walk straight ahead.
Straight ahead. There you go.
Keep walking straight.
After the rest of the cast is suited up and outside, Marshawn compliments Andy in a way some people might take as an insult. And he also inadvertently begins a series of communication issues between Andy and Kat.
You the real life Peter Griffin.
Oh, God.
Welcome, crew members.
Peter Griffin, one of my favorites.
All right, guys, calm down.
I want to clip that. It'll fall right off.
Andy, clear the line.
Throughout the rest of the mission, sometimes it seems like Andy is interrupting Kat in the middle of her sentences. It could be tricky editing, I hope it is, but I'm not savvy enough to tell. Other times, it seems like Kat recently learned the phrase clear the line and was just trying to say it as much as possible to figure out the right way to use it.
How do we plug in?
Listen to me clearly. This is very...
When we get to the point where we're going to plug him in, what is the procedure?
Andy, please clear the line. All right, crew, here we go. I'm going to do a 3, 2, 1, go countdown.
I'm ready on 1. Andy is ready on 1.
Andy, clear the line, please. This is very critical.
Yes.
To start things off, Kat sends Andy, Ariel, and Portia to unplug the 5 damaged cables from all 5 solar panels and from the transformer. Meanwhile, Adam, Marshawn, Paul, and Tinashe retrieve 5 new cables from the supply dome, which we've seen before but hasn't been called the supply dome until this episode. After the group untangles the new cables and runs them from the transformer to the solar panels, all 5 must be plugged in simultaneously. Once that's done, like right after, almost as if someone planned it that way, another solar flare strikes, spiking radiation levels and causing the HAB AI to initiate protective blackout shields on people's helmets. Now everyone in the field can't see. You know, it's too bad that last episode the evil AI didn't think to force everyone into their spacesuits, then trigger this blackout protocol. It would still be in charge now. The cast, who can't see, has just 17 of the mission's 30 minutes to make it back inside the airlock. Base Commander Kat and Mission Specialist Lance will need to be everyone's eyes and use live footage on the command center monitor to direct them via headset. So let's quickly talk about this mission's layout. The transformer is closest to the HAB. It has 5 cables extending outward in straight lines to each of the 5 solar panels in the solar field. And that's where the entire cast is when their protective blackout shields activate. It seems obvious to me that the cast is meant to use the cables to guide them back to the transformer. Then they'll rely on Kat and Lance's directions to maneuver the final few feet into the airlock. Instead, Kat and Lance ignore the cables. If anything, they treat them like obstacles to maneuver around. They instruct the cast to blindly stumble forward one at a time until everyone's reconnected in like a blob halfway across the solar field. Then they walk in a straight line holding hands the rest of the way to the airlock. People do not like this approach. Adam interviews about there being an easier way, and after Lance accidentally walks Marshawn into one of the rovers, he's had enough too.
Back and then walk straight ahead into Adam. No, turn right.
I'm going up a mound or...
Yep, I got you, Portia. I'm feeling annoyed because I feel like that there was an easier way to go about this mission. We couldn't see when we were out there, and the feedback we were getting felt like they couldn't see either, even though they could see.
You guys just go straight ahead. Trust it. There's nothing in front of you.
It's another rover.
Lance had one job to do that he didn't do. To not lead me into the damn rovers.
With 1 minute remaining, the cast maneuvers around a second rover, then approaches the airlock door. They get everyone inside and complete the mission with just 11 seconds left. Honestly, I was disappointed. We've only seen the cast fail one mission a long time ago, and since Kat and Lance so thoroughly misunderstood the point of this one, I thought they were the least mission critical. I know Lance was immune regardless, but Kat wasn't. When the time comes for Kat and Lance to pick a bottom three, he explains that he doesn't want to nominate Ariel because she didn't nominate him. So she, Tinashe, Marshawn, and Portia are all mission critical. As they re-enter the hab, Ariel notes Lance's attempt to mend fences, but she'd probably feel differently if she saw the interview he gave right after.
Next person was Ariel. All right.
Ariel did good. Yeah, it was the quietest I've heard her in 2 weeks, which is kind of nice. But she did a great job.
Thank you.
This episode really presented the dynamic that Lance spends a lot more time thinking about Ariel than Ariel does thinking about Lance. When she talks about him in an interview or to another celeb or not, it's usually because they've just had an altercation. But he'll find any old excuse to bring her up. The bottom three are Paul, nominated for extraction after 3 of 3 missions he's participated in, Adam, also nominated for a third time, and Andy, who Kat says got frustrated and also didn't listen to her. When it's time to pitch for safety, Adam is annoyed, and instead asks Kat why she thinks he wasn't Mish Crit. She explains that there were 2-point people in the field, Marshawn and Tinashe, who were the most communicative and helpful. But Kat assigned those leadership roles to them and silenced anyone else that tried to talk. Andy's pitch is that he performed just as well as everyone else, and Paul's pitch is that he was an anchor to the team, in a good way. But Tinashe disagrees.
Paul is not the most mission critical. I gotta keep it 100.
As the group discusses who should return to Earth, Kat tells them that Andy didn't communicate well or follow directions. Portia disagrees, but Kat disagrees with that and extracts Andy anyway. At least he seemed to know it was coming and could even laugh about it.
So, as a consensus and now base commander making the final decision, who I thought was mission critical today.
I do think it is truly over.
Was so offended that he put her in the bottom 3 last time. So I think Kat's gonna get her lick back today.
So if Tinashe wanted to target Paul and Portia defended Andy, then how was a consensus reached to extract him? Where's the footage? The edit didn't include any of the group discussion, just the ending when Kat claimed there was a consensus, but also said that the final decision was hers as base commander. So did the cast eventually agree that Andy should be extracted? Or is this the first time all season, all series, that the base commander ignored the group? And if so, where's that footage? I was stunned by this ending. I thought it was horrible, and by that I mean great reality TV. Just a few episodes ago, there was a mass panic about Ariel's potential ability to use base commander powers to extract Lance or maybe even Paul for personal reasons. But no one cares when Kat does exactly that to Andy. Or that she nominated Paul next to him after expecting Andy to protect all the newcomers last episode. Throughout this Andy versus Kat story arc, Kat has taken the game rules personally, acted vindictively, then presented those actions delusionally as if they weren't personal. Basically, she's perfect for house reality competitions, even if one of my favorite cast members was at the receiving end of her wrath. It's also hard to be too broken up because Andy made a fatal error in electing Kat base commander, something he acknowledges after leaving the Hab.
Maybe I made a mistake. If I had voted for Portia and she would have been commander, I very well might still be part of this.
Thank you, Mars. You've been great. It's been real red.
Though I obviously adore him, I didn't want Andy to become the brightest star in the galaxy. Because even if there's no prize, I'd like the winner to be an original cast member. And I'd like that cast member to be Tinashe. But I would have loved Andy to finish second or third. Still, even if he only ended up appearing in 3 episodes, at least during 2 of them, Andy participated in what I think is the season's most compelling multi-episode narrative so far. It's just too bad that that narrative also directly led to his extraction. At the end of the episode, Portia gives herself a makeover, in the hopes it'll spur the cast into taking her more seriously and electing her base commander. Part of the new look includes showcasing her natural hair for the first time all season. Cue Lance being freaked out to learn that she's been wearing a wig. Or maybe he was just surprised that Portia had heard of wigs, since someone so much younger than her, Kylie Jenner, invented them. I can't even finish the sentence.
Boom.
Hello.
Whoa.
Wow.
It's still wet.
Turn around. How'd that work?
It's my natural hair. You like it?
I like it a lot, but no, I'm freaked out. I love it. I would have bet my life that was your hair.
I have a lot more of me to show.
Nice, real good look with the hair.
I'm gonna wear these tomorrow when I'm base commander.
This ending is another playful beat about Portia's personality, and is just one reason why she's my brightest star of the episode. Next time, Marshawn plays football outside with Paul. Is he replacing Lance after the Rover incident? Speaking of, Lance recontemplates quitting the show. Is that why Marshawn replaces him with Paul? Because he quits? Or does Lance quit because Marshawn replaces him with Paul? Later, the cast needs to eradicate a strange creature crawling around their air ducts. It's the second time this season the Celebronauts have encountered an alien species and immediately tried to kill it. Thanks for watching. Come back next Sunday for another Stars on Mars recap. And in the meantime, if you're so inclined, please like and subscribe. Thanks again. See you next Sunday. Bye.